Hello, this is Geummun. The weather has become quite cool these days, making it perfect for a walk. How about taking a light stroll yourselves? Today's Geummun story will explore the 5 elements in relation to taste and color, the method of distinguishing Eum and Yang within the 10 heavenly stems and 12 earthly branches, and the Naeum 5 elements. Your subscriptions and likes are a great support for Geummun's journey. Let's begin. Volume 1, Section 3-4, the 5 elements and the method of tastes and colors. Each of the 5 elements corresponds to a particular taste and color. Metal is associated with a spicy taste and the color white. Wood is associated with a sour taste and the color green. Water is associated with a salty taste and the color black. Fire is associated with a bitter taste and the color red. Earth is associated with a sweet taste and the color yellow. In this way, taste and color provide important clues for understanding the nature of the 5 elements. They can be applied in many areas such as food, clothing, and living spaces. Volume 1, Section 3-5, the Eum and Yang of the heavenly stems and earthly branches. The Eum-Yang distinction of the 10 heavenly stems. The heavenly stems are Gap, Yal, Byung, Zeong, Mu, Ki, Kyung, Shin, Eum, and K. The Yang heavenly stems are Gap, Byung, Mu, Kyung, and Eum. The Yin heavenly stems are Al, Zeong, Ki, Shin, and K. The Eum-Yang distinction of the 12 earthly branches. The earthly branches are Za, Chuk, In, Mo, Jin, Sa, O, Mi, Shin, Yu, Sul, and He. The Yang earthly branches are Za, In, Jin, O, Shin, and Sul. The Eum earthly branches are Chuk, Mo, Sa, Mi, Yu, and He. This division of Eum and Yang forms the basic principle for interpreting the energies within the 4 pillars of destiny. Volume 1, Section 3-6. The method of associating the 12 earthly branches. Each of the 12 earthly branches corresponds to an animal. Za, rat. Chuk, ox. In, tiger. Mo, rabbit. Jin, dragon. Sa, snake. O, horse. Mi, sheep. Shin, monkey. Yu, rooster. Sul, dog. He, pig. These animal symbols are often used in folk beliefs and traditional culture, and they feel familiar when speaking about personality traits or fortune. Volume 1, Section 3-7, the Naeum 5, elements of the sexagenary cycle. The Naeum 5 elements is a system that assigns a specific elemental designation to each of the 60 combinations in the sexagenary cycle, thereby creating a more detailed classification within the 5 elements. Simply put, with only the original 5 elements wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, it is difficult to distinguish all 60 combinations of the sexagenary cycle in detail. Therefore, each combination is given its own name of sound, along with a corresponding elemental attribute, to create finer classifications. It is generally used only as a point of reference. Metal series. Metal is associated with willpower, determination, and transformation. In personality analysis, it is important to consider the balance between firmness and flexibility. It is also frequently used when analyzing wealth and fame. Haesung Keum, metal in the sea, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Gapsa and Alchuk. It symbolizes hidden talent and great potential that is not easily revealed, representing latent ability and a period of preparation. Kyeonbong Keum, metal at the sword's edge, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Im, Shin, and Ku. It represents sharpness, decisiveness, a certain degree of intensity, determination, aggressiveness, and pioneering spirit. Baeknap Kyum, white wax metal, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Kyeongjin and Shinsa. It signifies gentleness combined with strength, the virtue of moderation, warmth, balance, and perseverance. Kemp Gakyeom, gold leaf metal, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Im, In, and K Mo. It represents outward brilliance and is associated with honor and reputation, symbolizing prestige, display, and concern for appearances. Cha Cheon Keum, ornamental metal, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Kyungsul and Shinhae. It signifies splendor, social reputation, active interpersonal relationships, sociability, popularity, and ornamentation. Sejong Keum, metal in the sand, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Gap, O, and Yoil, Mi. It symbolizes possibilities within confusion, the need to uncover talents, as well as development, pioneering, and diligent effort. Wood series. Wood symbolizes growth, creativity, and vitality. In analysis, it is important to consider the harmony between gentleness and firmness. In career and personality interpretation, particular attention is given to creativity and planning. Darum Mok, great forest wood, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Mu, Jin, and Ki Sa. It signifies a dependable character, a sense of stability, potential for growth, steadiness, development, and strong foundations. Yeongnu Mok, willow wood, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Im, O, and Kmi. It represents flexibility, adaptability, artistry, versatility, sensitivity, and creativity. Songbek Mok, pine and cedar wood, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Kyongin and Shin Mo. It signifies steadfastness, constancy through all seasons, integrity, longevity, and perseverance. Pyeongsi Mok, wood of the plains, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Mu Sul and Ki Hae. It represents smooth growth, simplicity, tranquility, harmony, cooperation, and the natural order. Water series. Water symbolizes emotion, wisdom, and tolerance. Emphasis is placed on flow, change, and flexibility, and it is often used in interpreting human relationships and the inner spiritual world. Cheonha Su, heavenly river water, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Byong-o and Zeong-mi. It signifies ideals, dreams, romanticism, a tendency toward the unrealistic, as well as imagination, romance, and intuition. Jangryu Su, long-flowing water, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Im, Jin, and Kei Sao. It represents patience, perseverance, flexibility in life, endurance, adaptability, and continuity. Cheonsung Su, spring water, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Gap, Shin, and Yeolyu. It signifies purity, cleanliness, a clear heart, innocence, integrity, and honesty. Dae Su, great seawater, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Imsa and K Chuk. It represents tolerance, depth, infinite possibility, inclusiveness, wisdom, and boundlessness. Kanaso, stream water, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Byongsa and Zeongchuk. It signifies simplicity, humility, flexibility, communication, and adaptability. Fire series. Fire symbolizes energy, drive, and transformation. When excessive, it can lead to impatience, and when lacking, it can result in lethargy. It has a significant influence on career, health, and personality analysis. Sandu Hua, fire on the mountain peak, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Gap Sul and Yul He. It signifies boldness, courage, extroversion, adventure, leadership, and expression. Sanahua, fire at the mountain space, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Byung-shin and Zeongyu. It signifies subtlety, practicality, vitality, realism, livelihood, and stability. Bokdeong Hua, inverted lamp fire, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Gap Shin and Yul Sa. It represents unpredictability, constant change, a sudden or impulsive nature, volatility, and uncertainty. Byuk Ryukwa, thunderbolt fire, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Musa and Ki Chuk. It signifies intense bursts of energy, innovation, a lightning-like force, sudden change, and decisive action. Earth series. Earth represents stability, harmony, and reality. It symbolizes centrality, responsibility, and a well-balanced character, and is considered especially important in analyzing wealth and family fortune. Nobang To, roadside earth, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Kyung-o and Shin-mi. It signifies practicality, realism, ordinariness, utility, stability, and tranquility. Shongdu To, earth on the city wall, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Mu-in and Ki-mo. It signifies responsibility, leadership, authority, guidance, and accountability. Og-sang To, earth on the rooftop, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Byung-sul and Zeong-hae. It represents inclusiveness, protection, a domestic nature, family, and peace. Byuk-sang To, earth on the wall, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Kyungsa and Shin-chuk. It signifies boundaries, separation, an emphasis on safety, protection, vigilance, and defense. Daeok To, earth of the great marketplace, corresponds to the Ilzu combinations of Mu, Shin, and Kiyu. It represents central places, bustling with people, exchange, connection, and activity. Volume 1, Section 3.8. The Generating and Controlling Cycles of the Five Elements. The most important principle in the study of destiny, Myeongri, is the interaction of the five elements. The cycle of the four seasons, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, also moves according to the workings of the five elements, and all things in the universe likewise operate under their influence. Therefore, one's proficiency in Myeongri largely depends on how quickly and thoroughly one understands the principles of mutual generation and mutual control among the five elements. First, let us look at the generating cycle of the five elements. Metal generates water. Water generates wood. Wood generates fire. Fire generates earth. Earth generates metal. Second, let us look at the preventing cycle of the 5 elements. Metal prevents wood. Wood prevents earth. Earth prevents water. Water prevents fire. Fire prevents metal. By examining the arrangement of the 5 elements in one's 4 pillars, we can gain insight into personality, aptitude, health, relationships, and the flow of fortune. The workings of the 5 elements form the root and the center of interpretation in Yeongri. Today, we explored the tastes and colors of the 5 elements, the distinction between and Yang, the 12 earthly branches, the Naeum 5 elements, and the cycles of generation and control among the 5 elements. Step by step, we are building the foundations of Yeongri studies, and I hope that this time with Geummunsa brings warm insights into your life. Also, Geummunsa's new line, Gongsan, featured in our intro and outro images, has now launched. If you are curious, please check the video description and comments. We look forward to your interest and support. I'll see you next time with even more fascinating stories from the Saju Chapgin. Thank you. If our shared story touched your heart, we invite you to explore more stories from Geummun.